Hi there, I'm Barry Baumgardner, founder of Sage Event Management, and today I want to share with you the second in a three-part little mini video series I'm doing about common mistakes event hosts make. So last week we talked about rooms and room blocks and room attrition and how hosts often get it wrong. And this week, I want to talk to you a little bit about the food and beverage side. So if you're hosting a live event, you know that hotels typically make their revenue from rooms, from food and beverage, and from rental. At Sage, we try and let the rooms and the food and beverage pay for the meeting space so that we pay no rental. So our main focus is how can we make the most of a room block and how can we make the most of a food and beverage minimum. So here's a quick story about the most common mistake I see that event hosts make. I was just on a call with one of our clients who was sharing with me a small mastermind that she's planning and how she was really proud of her team because they'd worked with the hotel to negotiate per person pricing. So their continental breakfast, their mid-morning coffee break, their mid-afternoon coffee break, and their meals were all being done on a per person cost basis. And they were hosting a reception one night, and that was going to be on a per person cost basis. So here's the thing. What I've learned over the years is that nothing could be further from the truth when it comes to per person pricing. You never win. The hotel always wins. It's like Las Vegas. The house wins. The casino wins. You don't win on per person pricing unless it's lunch or dinner. I often find that with buffets, lunch and dinner actually are less expensive because it's up to the hotel to replenish the food. So if you have a lot of people eating a lot of food, it can really pay off to have the hotel footing the bill for that buffet. If you know you have big eaters, then a lunch or dinner buffet can often pay off. Or if you're hosting a wedding and the primary guest list is recent college grads, you definitely are better off with a per person bar. Go for it. Let the hotel eat the cost on that one. But if it's not either of those situations, I really want you to focus on the benefits of not going per person. Here's how we do it at Sage. If it's a continental breakfast, if it's a morning or afternoon coffee break, if it's a reception, if it is any kind of activity where you are going to be serving things that could be served a la carte, we recommend that you do that. Here's how this would work. Let me just give you a simple example. Think of a bar. I mentioned the recent college grads. Like if you have a heavy drinking crowd, you may possibly come out ahead per person. But generally what happens with an open bar is some people don't drink. Some people only have one drink. Some people might be driving, so they may drink water all night. Somebody might have two drinks over the whole course of an evening. And when it comes to a coffee break, some of your guests don't drink coffee. And some of your guests are going to go to the local Starbucks or the in-house coffee bar and get their perfect coffee instead of drinking the standard hotel coffee or tea by the gallon. So what we've learned over time is that not every guest eats or drinks at a break, and not every guest eats or drinks as much at a break. So you can come out ahead ordering a la carte. And what a la carte means is you're ordering per dozen or per gallon or per item. And here's where you can really win. Things that are done like per item that is a granola bar or a piece of fruit or a soda, anything that is in a container, and think of fruit, it's basically in skin, so it's in its own container. So whole fruit, candy bars, granola bars, bags of chips, sodas, bottled waters, bottled fruit juices, any of those things you can actually do based on consumption. And what that means is you tell the hotel how many to put out, and then the hotel let's say we say 20 sodas and 20 granola bars, and you have an event for 20 people. And several of them don't eat it. Let's say you only consume 17 sodas and 14 granola bars. You only pay for 17 sodas and 14 granola bars. So you can really come out ahead doing based on consumption pricing. But if it's something like a gallon of coffee or a dozen breakfast breads or 2 dozen cookies, that's something that the hotel has actually had to prepare. They've had to make it from scratch. On that, you can't give it back. If you put 2 dozen cookies out or 2 gallons of coffee out, whether or not you consume it, you're going to pay for it. So you really do want to know the metrics on your food and beverage. In the old days, a gallon of coffee would buy you 22 cups per gallon. It was a standard metric, but Starbucks has changed everything. Now hotels have gone away from China cups and more toward casual mugs and even to-go cup style, Starbucks style coffee cups. Those tend to be more like 15 cups per gallon. So the general new hotel metric on coffee and tea per gallon is you generally get about 15 cups per gallon. So you can start to do the math based on the number of attendees you have. Assume about 20% attrition on your attendees attending any of these meal functions, and then start to do the math and reverse engineer it. And you can always be conservative and add more as the coffee break goes. Just know that in general, it takes about 15 minutes advance notice to see that gallon of coffee come out from the kitchen. And if it's something like fresh baked cookies, they may not be able to produce that quickly. So you might order conservatively. You might actually order an extra dozen just to give yourself a buffer. Even with an extra dozen cookies, you are going to come out ahead versus just paying for a per person coffee break or per person continental breakfast. I promise you. So think about what you can do a la carte. Think about what you can do based on consumption and run the math. And unless you're hosting that college reception or you're hosting a really small continental breakfast or break, you're going to come out ahead, not going the route of per person. So last week we talked about rooms and myths around room blocks and room attrition. You can check that out in my video blog at blog.poweredbysage.com. You can also check out any of the other videos that I've recorded that give you some simple, quick tips on things you can do better if you're hosting your own live event or your next big live event. So check it out there. And just as a quick recap, per person really doesn't pay off. The house always wins unless it's a lunch or dinner. So you really want to think through how to use some basic metrics and some conservative ordering to do some a la carte orders versus per person ordering. And the one last little tip I'll give you is that if you're going this direction, you also want to have a team member be close by during that break time. You want to monitor how the traffic flow is going, how the consumption's going, and you want to, at the end, track exactly how much food was consumed versus what was put out, whether it's a gallon of coffee, 20 sodas, 2 dozen cookies, 3 dozen granola bars, whatever it might be. Make sure you have a team member tracking exactly what was put out and exactly what was consumed, and noting that. You can start to develop a pattern and a history that allows you to order with even more accuracy at future events. At Sage, this is a non-negotiable for us. We're very specific about what we put out. We closely monitor those meal times, and we're very specific about noting what was left over, regardless of how we place the order. And we track that so that we can use that information to plan the next group's function with even more accuracy, saving them even more money. I guarantee you over time, this will save you thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's all for today's video. Looking forward to seeing you on our next one. Bye for now.